We evaluated for A and B in this left-hand column. Now for the right-hand column, we're going to be using C equals -3 and D equals 5 as the numbers to plug in for our variables to evaluate these expressions. So the first one is C plus D, and C is -3 and D is 5. And so -3 plus 5, signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm going to keep the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. In this case, the number with the greater absolute value is the +5, so my answer is going to be +2. The next one will explain why we read this as the opposite of C plus D. We read this as the opposite of C plus D because the opposite of -3 is +3. We wouldn't say -3. We would say the opposite of -3. And the opposite of -3 is +3 plus D is 5. And so 3 plus 5 equals 8. Signs are the same, so we add and keep. And we keep the positive sign, so we've got +8. 13 says the opposite of C plus the opposite of D equals blank. So the opposite of -3 is +3. And I'm going to add that to the opposite of +5 is -5. So 3 plus -5, signs are different. So I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm going to keep the sign of the number with the greater absolute value. In this case, that's the -5. And so my answer here is negative. On this next one, we've got C minus D. So C is -3 minus D is 5. When we get to our subtracting integers, we use the 3 C's, copy, change, change. So I'm going to copy -3, change subtraction to addition, and change +5 to -5. When I do that, now I'm adding integers with the same sign. And when integers have the same sign, we add. 3 plus 5 is 8. And we keep the sign that they both have, which in this case is negative. So C minus D is equal to -8. You can see how with integers it's going to be really important that you always show your work and not do this stuff in your head, because it's good for us to see the subtraction, to make sure we copy, change, change, and we see our integers before we add, and we don't just try and do it in our head, because when we do it in our head, we're going to make silly mistakes. So let's do one more together here. We've got D minus C. D is 5 minus C is -3. Typically, when we have subtracting a minus, we put the negative symbol, or subtracting a negative, we put the negative symbol inside parentheses just so that we see the divide between the minus and the negative symbol. We don't blur them together. And then we're going to use our 3 C's for the subtraction problem. Copy the 5, change subtraction to addition, and change -3 to +3. Now we've got two positives. When signs are the same, we can add. 5 plus 3 is 8, and we keep the positive symbol. So D minus C equals 8. At this point in time, again, I would challenge you to maybe try the next couple on your own and then watch the last video to see how you did.